Tree Country 1330 WTRE. We're a little bit late. It's 7:34.
Yeah, we are. Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. Sun is shining.
It is. No rain.
That's right. We've made it. We made it through the fair. Everybody's getting all their stuff packed up. I didn't drive by out there this morning, but I know Lures is gone.
There were a few, maybe 6 or 7 just on the sides of the road, like a couple rides and then some food booths. But otherwise, it's done, gone. Sky is clear when you look at the fairgrounds.
There you go.
The Ferris wheel is gone.
2025 4-H Fair wrapped up.
That's right. It was a good one.
It was. Yeah, we had a lot of good opportunity. Hopefully you were able to join Emily and I each evening live at 5. The Power of the Past did that. We're going to be back for the Power of the Past in August. So should be a lot of fun again. Talk to some folks about what's going on out there and catch up.
That's right. So concluded that big event of the summer. It's like you get all ready for it and it comes and then it's here and gone and quick.
Yeah, I was at Optimist this morning and Sonia Linville, not Linville anymore. Kochmeyer, yeah. I knew her as Miss Linville. She was talking about registration is today. Enrollment day is
already.
Today, all day already. So they're ready to go.
I think
August
it's 2
5th.
weeks, right?
I think August 5th is what she said is day one for the students. So it'll be
2.5 weeks.
Be here before we know it.
So fast.
That's right.
That's right. What's happening around the world?
Well, I know you had a big story on it. We won't have to dive into it too much, but we did have the ribbon cutting for the trail extension yesterday. So we were able to get that kicked off and opened up with pretty decent attendance from folks. There was a lot of library board members there. There were some county community folks. And we heard from Rick Nobby on behalf of the Decatur County Community Foundation, Rob Dehoff at the Parks Department. We heard from Vanessa Martin at the library, myself, Zach Weerig in our office, and then Dale Breyer, who oversees the Next Level Trails program that was under and is under DNR. And we were able to talk about the connections opportunity for Rebecca Park, Pirate Park, the library to all get connected. And, it looks great. The Storybook walks in. They're going to have their own separate kind of opening on that on the 29th at 5 o'clock out at the library. So that's a great addition. And it looks great. We just got some finishing touches to do. We've got to do a little bit of fence work over at Pirate Park where we connected that in. That's a great addition we were able to add due to some extra funding being available from DNR's grant, which is phenomenal, and able to parlay that into a little bit more investment locally. It's
exciting to get to this point because it's taken, it's been in the process, but it's just taken time to get to this point.
Yeah, it started with it started years and years and years ago as a concept, but in the modern era, if you will, we've taken the opportunity to use some Lilly endowment money, Gift 7, and do the design work, get it started, and then we were able to apply for the DNR grant money as well. So a lot of this has been funded through grant dollars and Lilly endowment dollars that continue and will have an impact in our community for decades to come.
Now, it'll be when they start doing more road construction on Main, right? There'll be more connectivity happening at that point. Is that the next step or phase?
That's sort of the next phase, if you will. When I started in this role in early 2020, one of the first meetings I had was on the INDOT reconstruction of Main Street, which is scheduled for 2028. So if you're doing the math out, that's 8 years since I was at the table for the first time to when their construction window is supposed to be, but we started talking then about more connectivity, pedestrian infrastructure, and whether INDOT would support the addition of a multi-use style path from the library at least to Lincoln Street. We'd like to get a little bit up the hill, but at least to Lincoln Street. And they went back, looked at that, made some comments, thoughts, tweaks, and then ultimately did agree to do that. One of the things that we had sort of committed to in those conversations is that we would connect the library over to our trail. We didn't exactly know how to do that, but we knew we had about 8 years to figure it out and pull it off. So I'm very excited that we were able to get it done in less than 4, less than 3 really. And now that piece is in, we're able to say, okay, INDOT, here's the terminus of our connectivity. Please connect your connectivity to here. And so it looks a little bit odd that it just stops in the ditch in front of the library. And unfortunately, it will look like that for 3 years. But then, again, for the next 30 years, it will be connected into downtown. So we were able to meet our obligations to get the trail to them. And now I hope that they'll meet their obligations to get the trail connected into downtown.
Very good. Tonight, I believe tonight's fire recognition.
It is. This is a big evening for GFD, so we'll see everyone is welcome to join us over at City Hall, 6 p.m. Please come out and enjoy the program. It usually runs about an hour, and it is an opportunity for the fire department to recognize those that have retired, have been promoted, and have been awarded or will receive special recognition. They do Firefighter of the Year, which is a selection by the department members of who they think is their outstanding member of the year or went above and beyond. If there has been, which I'm sure there has been, I usually learn about these, who's awarded them as we go through the program as well. So it's always exciting to see. But life-saving awards of the year, if somebody's been very involved in their actions are directly correlated to saving someone's life, they are awarded that. And then usually there's some other interesting and I won't call them necessarily obscure, but maybe not scheduled or regularly scheduled award. And it's open to anyone and everyone. Usually we have some retired firefighters that come back, and kids and families, and it's a very family-oriented event. They usually do cookies or cake or cupcakes and punch and some teas and lemonades and things like that. It's not a full-blown meal. It's just a reception, and then usually some group photos as well. It's a great opportunity to celebrate the successes and achievements of GFD, and then the individuals who help make GFD great.
All right, and that, again, that's tonight, 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock, City Hall. Come on over. Join us. We'd love to have you.
All right. I know everybody's kind of been tied up with the fair in the last week, so any other new things going on around the city? I did notice construction has moved on across.
We have moved down and closed the Franklin Street intersection, and that is, well underway. They've been tearing up concrete and making progress and getting, we're sort of into the last phase of that outside of what will be everyone's favorite phase, which is brand new pavement. And there's going to be a lot of brand new pavement. The work that's being done in Franklin Street's expected to run through probably September 1st. I think we may be out of there a little bit earlier than that, but we've got to be done before the Fall Festival. The Fall Festival is, quickly approaching, and by the time we get there, I think everyone's going to really start to see the aha moment.
Yes.
Of
Full picture.
It's already coming together, right? You can start to kind of see it, but when it's all done, new and shiny, and with Broadway, because we've added Broadway to it because of the pavement failures there, we're gonna see a pretty significant overnight, if you will, facelift to downtown, which is great because we've been talking with individuals that have been in town for the fair, and they're always really impressed with our downtown and how unique it is and how full it is. So these investments continue to pay off. You
really noticed too, I drove through yesterday, and as they move on down, they open up more of that north side of the square. So as you can see more of it now, and I think that's kind of making it all kind of come together, and access to the stores has opened up a little bit more. So still be patient, but you can get to everything, and it looks really nice. It's all
still available. And I know the Washington Street Broadway intersection is just a little rough. There's just not much that we can do there at the moment. Temporary pavement in those kinds of settings just do not work well because of just lots of reasons. We've still got some adjustments to make, and it pains me more than anybody. And I know some folks have commented on it, but it's just temporary. And I know it's not great and it doesn't live up to our standard, but it's just part of the construction process. When we get it all done, we'll be good to go. We just gotta hang tight. It's, if it weren't for the monsoons that cut ruts, it would be overly dry in a dust bowl, and so it's 6.5 dozen kind of thing. Well, and it's we have 8 weeks max left. Not even quite that. Not right? Even quite that, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, we just gotta hold on. Stretch. Hold on. That's right. It's coming. It's gonna be good. That's right. Liberty Lakes, it continues to just grow and. Yeah, there's a lot going on out there. They're putting in another foundation, I think this week. A couple more building permits have been pulled. Some pavement work's got to happen out there. They've got some repairs to do. We're working with them on that. But that's been going really well. They're moving, which is great. We like to see that. We've got the first two or three sold. I know there's a couple people that are living out there, and they're the first ones in the neighborhood, which is kind of exciting, and that's great to see.
With the fair being in town, I know you've had the chance to interact with a lot of people, both residents and citizens of Greensburg, but also some outside visitors. Anything come to light out of those kind of visits?
Oh, sure. It's always fun to chat with folks that come over. I was talking to some folks from Columbus. They come over one time a year to do the fair, to do our fair. And of course, you talk with a lot of folks that live here. And generally, there's a lot of excitement about what's going on in the community, anywhere from the concert series. We've had people comment on how great the farmers market's been this year, because it has been. It's been phenomenal, really well attended, all the way through infrastructure projects and wanting to know about something on a very hyper local level, is something in their neighborhood or their street. And generally incredibly positive feedback, lots of support for the actions that the community taking, anywhere from very highly complimented remodeled bathrooms at the fairgrounds that have been fixed up, cleaned up, repaired, refreshed, and air conditioned.
Listen, we were all behind those. We are all for it.
And I think that's in the building project out there too. Of course, those are county projects, but I want to celebrate everyone's successes, right? That's great. I'm glad that they're making those investments. I'm glad people are appreciating those investments. And I think that it probably only reemphasizes the point of, small and large investments can coexist, and they make a big impact and big difference. So lots of conversations about, work that's happening or work that is happening. We're not behind by any means on our pavement work for this summer, but typically we're a little bit further into pavement work. It's just the way the contractor's schedule's fallen. But there's some pretty visible progress on First Street, which is straight out of the front of the hospital. So I know a lot of people kind of...
I really appreciate that.
Yeah. First Street has failed very significantly in the last 2 years. And we talk about on this program and all the time how we run on about a 10-year outlook capital improvement plan. We're in year 6 of our capital improvement plans that we started doing those in 2021. So, we're 5-6 years in on ours, and that's been a kind of a shift for us to financially manage our money and financially manage our investments long term, so that they're sustainable. They're a little more even, instead of showing up and saying, well, we need to buy 3 dump trucks this year, right? We kind of know what we're doing or looking for doing long term. So First Street, for example, was sort of on our radar. And then in the last 24 months has really, really substantially degraded. So it was already on our radar. It just had to get into the zone, I guess you could call it. And that one's a pretty substantial investment. We're going all the way. We're readjusting pavement grades to help with drainage. We're going all the way to the back of the sidewalk and coming in, which is a little more substantial than a normal pavement job that we would do. One, it's obviously a lot more expensive per linear foot, but it is also just needed. And that project will have a big impact. Obviously, there's a lot of emergency vehicle traffic from the hospital headed west and then back to the hospital headed east. It is heavily traveled, so we're excited to see that. So that's the first part of our pavement plan or pavement work this summer that is visibly getting started. You'll see some curb ramps being done. We're doing some work on North Broadway from all the way, in theory, all the way from Main Street up to First Street. So Main to First to Lincoln, that's a big section, downtown section, and then there's a ton of residential streets that are on the list this year too.
Also did pave work out by Honda, correct?
Yes, that was under a separate contract, but Old 421 North, which receives a lot of traffic and had been having significant joint failure, has been redone. I'm assuming the pavement markings have been done. I haven't been out there since then, but I may have to go check on that.
I've not been down it, I guess, since the week. I don't remember. I did come down on the weekend, but don't remember.
Didn't pay attention to whether the lines were down.
I did not. No, right. I did not.
Well, that's good. Maybe you didn't need them
exactly.
Cruising along.
I was just going. That's right. When you're looking at the pave work and those kind of things, how do you plan that out futuristically?
Yeah, that's a great question. There is this process. It's called a PASER rating. It's the Pavement and Surface Evaluation Rating, something like that. It's an acronym. And the state of Indiana requires that we do that every 2 years. The street commissioner and our project director drive every segment of every street once at least every 2 years. And it has this sort of a formula based on, not necessarily, because sometimes this gets brought up about, well, my street has a lot of cracks in it. Well, cracks are not necessarily a structural defect, right? Pavement cracks, we know that. So it's really based on the structural integrity of the street. It's not necessarily about the condition of the surface. And surface condition plays into it, but it's really more about when we look at First Street could have great pavement. We know it doesn't, but it could in theory have great pavement. But if it has this giant sinking hole in it, that's a structural problem. So that will move it down the Payzer rating, if you will. Down is worse. 10 is brand new, top of the line asphalt. 1 is probably like red dirt road kind of thing. There isn't a piece of asphalt on it. We tend to be in the 6 to 8s. That seems to be our big zone. Once you have 1 year on a 10, it's really probably not a 10 anymore. So they go through, they look at that, and then we have to sort of base it on, we have to submit that to the state. We apply for Community Crossings Matching Grant funds, which are paid for generally through gas tax. Those funds come back from the state of Indiana. It is a competitive grant process. You are not guaranteed them. We have a very successful track record over the last 5 years of getting CCMG money, and then we have to put a dollar to dollar. So if we can get up to $1 million from CCMG, but we have to bring $1 million of our own cash. So that's a $2 million investment in pavement. The $1 million of match money is hard for us to reach. Those are typically motor vehicle highway dollars, which again is some gas tax, but then also some of the wheel tax that we receive from the county's collection of wheel tax. And then we do supplement in some other revenue sources to help maximize that the best we can. Without Community Crossings Matching Grant, we would not be able to do literally 50% of the paving work that we do. So that program is incredibly valuable. Without, wheel tax and gas tax, the funding for pavement doesn't exist. So those things do fund that. A lot of times people think, well, I pay property taxes and my road is junk. Property taxes do not fund road pavement and road work. So the Payzer rating is the first step. The second step is that we have to be cognizant of areas that we're investing in. We have to be fair and equal on social economics of where we're investing infrastructure dollars. So there is a component about making sure we can't just go in. We can go in and do some neighborhoods, but we also have to be sure that we're not leaving out certain groups of individuals and property groupings and owners. So there's a lot of factors that weigh into that. And then we also want to try to get the best bang for our buck as far as economies of scale. The idea is that moving the milling machine around, so we have a fortunate or unfortunate advantage, however you want to look at it, of typically when county roads are repaved, they might be scarified, which is just scratching the top so that the new pavement sticks to it, but they just add on top. Whereas where we have curbs and gutters and drains, we can't just go put an inch and a half of asphalt on top. We have to go in and mill out an inch and a half of asphalt, which costs almost as much as putting in an inch and a half of asphalt.
Oh, wow.
So when we go in and do that, that adds to our per foot. We are also required to do ADA compliant curb ramps if they exist in the space that we're working. Curb ramps are not cheap little chunks of concrete on the corner. They're valuable, they're necessary, they're needed, but we have to do that. So those are added expenses. We also have the 50-50. Decatur County has a 75-25, which is actually going to 80-20 percent match. So if they bring $2, they get $8. And so they have a better matching ratio because of the state legislation. Once you cross 10,000 people as a city, you end up in a 50-50 category. And once you cross, I think it's 40,000 for the county, then you go to 50-50. So they get they get a better matching deal. They don't have to do the mill and fill, the inch and a half off and then fill it in, and they don't do curb ramps because they don't have sidewalks. So we have a worse matching ratio. We have to mill ours down and repave, and we have to do curb ramps. So that's how we can't do 45 miles of new pavement or whatever. So those are some of the differences. But then once we look at, okay, how can we do a neighborhood so that we can move a machine in, only do a certain area and not have to move the machine over here and do a little segment. We try to keep them as tight as possible and then make sure that we're moving around the community. the last part of your question is that we can do pavement preservation. It's called a microsurface. Some people refer to it as chip and seal. We do not do chip and seal. It is a different process, but it's a pavement life preserver. So it goes in, it seals all the cracks. It gets a fine level of aggregate applied to it. It, in theory, creates a very thin new surface on top of the old surface. This is great for lower volume neighborhoods, and it's incredibly more cost effective. And if we are looking at something that's maybe running in that Paiser rating of a 7, and it's on its way down because it's aging, this may give us a 10-year pause in that it may be a 7 for 10 years versus going from 7 to 5. And it's much, much, much more cost effective. And we've had really great success. I know sometimes people don't like it, but it's really effective and creates a much better surface for a lot of years for a much better return on investment. It allows us to do entire neighborhoods at one time. So everybody, one is treated equally, but also generally all the pavement's put in a neighborhood at the same time. So we're keeping it all on the same track versus going in and just doing one street and then coming in 5 years and doing another street.
Well, it's more cost effective in the end.
Yes.
To do that. All right. Not that the city is not responsible for it, but I know we've all commented that out in the El Chile Plaza, that has been paved here this last week. Maybe last week.
Yeah, they've been working on it kind of in phases. I know we get a lot of comments on that. Private.
It's private.
It's a private parking lot.
With the city.
I know a lot of folks think that the driveway that runs in front of what was Frisch's, it's not. That's a private driveway too. And as you and I talked about a while back, we remain in contact with those private property owners, and we encourage them to look at and make investments in their property based on feedback that we get. But we don't really have a way to forcefully require them to fill potholes in their parking lot. We have dilapidation and abandonment and overgrowth and trash and shrub, maintenance, but we don't really have a way to get into, you have potholes in your parking lot. Really, customers vote with their feet. The private industry says, hey, I don't want to come to your shopping center anymore because it's rough and I don't blah, blah, blah. But to your point, they've been filling in potholes and recoating, and they're kind of doing a microsurface. If you look, they're kind of doing the same thing. They're going in, they're doing big patches, and then they're kind of like microsurfacing the top of it and relining it. So glad to see that investment.
We all are. Yes.
That's right.
We'll save some wheels and tires and whatnot, right?
That's right. Exactly.
Anything coming up next week?
Next week, of course, we've got Back to School Bash. The Decatur County Health Department's putting that on. That's this coming Saturday, 11 to 2 at their building on South Ireland Street. It's a great opportunity to get some school supplies. I think there's haircuts going on.
There's haircuts. They were in yesterday, actually. So haircuts, backpacks, touch a truck. Lots of booths will be set up. We heard the new trash truck is coming, and it hasn't even gotten dirty yet.
I was informed of that yesterday. I was out at the street department, and it was very clean and shiny, and they said we're not touching it until after the touch a truck. That is Saturday at the Decatur County Health Department. So come on out. It's really tall.
Really?
It's really tall. So I don't know why that is. I've climbed in a lot of semis in my life, and I'm like, this one.
It's tall.
It's tall. So come out and check it out and see what's going on.
Yeah, 11 to 2.
11 to 2 down on Ireland Street. And I think that's the big stuff, next week. And now that everybody's through the fair, next summer concert series is Friday the 25th. Hank Williams Jr. Tribute band out at Rebecca Park. That will be at 7 o'clock. Free event. Bring a chair. Have some food from food truck. Grab you something from Tree City Brew if you'd like, and enjoy the park.
Have a good evening. That's right. And then National Night Out, once again, will be coming up in August.
That's the 14th. We've got, it's hard to believe, that's just a month away. But that will be here before we know it. We'll have an opportunity to chat about that a few more times, I'm sure. And 5 o'clock, North Park, same week as Power of the Past. So we've double booked that, but we can do them all.
It'll be fine.
It will be fine.
That's right. There's plenty of time, and we can get everywhere. It's a good night, though. Put that on your calendar. Make sure you're there.
That's right.
It'll be good. Yeah.
I think that's kind of all we've got for the week.
That's it.
It's been busy, but
it has. When you look back at the fair, we got to taste a lot of things this year.
We did, yeah.
We had a lot of taste testing. What came what'd you come away with as your favorite?
Well, I feel like all we really tried was ice creams.
It was a lot of ice
It
creams,
was a lot
wasn't
of,
it?
yeah.
I didn't think about that.
We pretty much just hung out in the ice cream world.
We did.
I know we spent, Hillbilly Corners got a great product and they're working with the Decatur County United Fund. We got to do the first Christian church. We got to try the first Christian church standard
shortcake,
strawberry.
yeah.
I did not honestly realize that they had been there 30 years doing
I didn't realize it was so long.
Right. So
very long
we got the opportunity to do that. We got to do the milkshakes from the Dairy Kids, and it's been it was great. I don't know.
It was all good, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
I think next year maybe we need to find somebody with some
Food?
protein.
With some protein.
Yeah.
I really didn't think about the ice cream. Yeah, it was all ice cream, but we enjoyed it.
That's
It
right.
was good.
And we had the opportunity to talk with different groups, different leaders, different people that help put all the fair stuff together. And I know we've spent a lot of time over the last week talking about it, but it's a lot of work to get that whole thing done. And last night at 9:00 when I was putting stuff away, they were down there cleaning out the barn and loading it in a dumpster, and away it was going. I mean, it's on to the next thing.
It's crazy how fast it goes. I really think too, you stop and look at the amount of time the entire community puts in. It's a week dedicated, whether it's the Fair Board and those committees or it's vendors that are out there for a week solid, because it's a lot of work to be there every day.
It is.
It is. Well, it's 8:00 on Tree Country 1330. We'll be back with you next week.
Sounds like a plan. Everyone have a great week. See you soon.